Shut up and sit down.
Hey you ready to poke the bear? Today's bear is the U.S. Army. Well, not exactly, but kind of. Alright, so let's just go ahead and check this out. Okay, so infantry school ends traditional shark attack, which I'll explain in a second, and adopts a new way of instilling warriors' ethos in recruits. Now, what the heck does that mean? Well, I'll tell you what that means. The shark attack in the military it's not just the Army. The Army kind of is really known for it, and so is the Marine Corps. If you've never seen Full Metal Jacket, I highly recommend you go watch that film. But the idea of when the recruits show up and that initial integration into the unit, the drill sergeants just, "You are a worthless piece of garbage. Why the heck are you here? Are you gonna cry now, lady? Are you gonna cry? Are you gonna cry?" These, and of course, using a lot more flamboyant language than that. They attack and attack and attack to make sure to give that extreme stress, so that in accomplishing tasks, when you started out at a high stress and ability to accomplish a task, then that creates a foundation in which to build up your competency in being a soldier. You tear you down to build you up. Now, let's just go ahead and read this real quick. Okay, so this is from Fort Benning, Georgia. This is the infantry. Generations of Army veterans are familiar with what is known as the shark attack. That shock and awe, pile-on shouting, and in-your-face personalized commentary visited by bull-necked drill sergeants on new recruits fresh off the bus for basic training. But as far as the U.S. Army Infantry School here is concerned, the shark attack has had its day. It's over. It's done. The infantry school trains soldiers for service in the infantry branch and has come up with an entirely new approach for the first formative hours of turning civilians into proud members of the infantry force, called the first 100 yards. It is done on the first day the recruits report to their units they've been assigned to for Infantry 1 Station Unit Training, also known as Infantry OSUT. It was developed earlier this year by the Infantry School and senior non-commissioned officers of the 198th Infantry Brigade. The brigade is one of the Infantry School's units that conducts Infantry OSUT at Fort Benning. The first 100 yard uses a series of training activities to instill on the first impressionable day of the recruits' training the infantry's core warrior values and attitudes, and to foster pride in the infantry, partly by drawing on its battlefield history. Details of the first 100 yards are outlined in a video below. Who cares? Okay. So, this is what a shark attack used to look like. They'd come off, when you're getting off there, you're getting screamed at. Move, move, move. Now, we have these things called masks, and you can't get up in people's faces in the Army anymore. So, they have developed this new thing. The first 100 yards puts the new arrivals through a series of activities that include introducing them to the infantry's history and its spirit of the bayonet, which is actually really cool. The spirit of the bayonet is, I was not in the Army, I was in the Air Force, but the spirit of the bayonet, and having read about it, is really neat. It's the whole idea of the U.S. Army's infantry, that dedication and point of service that you will fight the enemy in hand-to-hand combat if necessary. That's what they call it, the 100 yards, or the first 100 yards. Actually, it's called the last 100 yards if you go to the museum. It talks about, here we go, actually this is a quote right here. On the first, at the point of Fortenberry, at one point in the video, Fortenberry quotes a section of the Army's World War II era Basic Field Manual 2325 titled Bayonet M1905, which really speaks to the essence of the infantry. So, okay, this is what it actually says. The will to meet and destroy the enemy in hand-to-hand combat is the spirit of the bayonet. It springs from the fighter's confidence, courage, and grim determination as the result of vigorous training. Through training, the fighting instinct of the individual soldier is developed to its highest point. You know, that point at the end of the bayonet. That whole thing is based on the bayonet, which is really cool. The motto of the infantry is follow me. So this whole new training aspect is based on the idea that to get people to follow you, it isn't done by fear and intimidation. It has been done by fear and intimidation, and successfully for a long time, but they want to instill the idea of camaraderie and the idea that as a leader, I will take you through I will lead from the front, not from the back. And that's what great leaders do, is they lead from the front, not from the back. So, I will say that if this is adopted across all of the military, not just the Army infantry, but it moves on to the rest of the Army and moves on to the Marines and the Navy and the Air Force, this is going to create a different type of cohesion. It's not necessarily a worse cohesion or a better cohesion. I don't know because we don't have the data yet. But it's definitely a thing that the old guard, like myself and friends of mine that are even older, they will probably look at this and say, man, we're going to be raising ourselves a bunch of wussies if they're not getting shark attacked. And I don't necessarily agree with that. While I can look back fondly on my time in basic training in the Air Force, there were times when they were in your face, yelling and screaming. They had those really, really, really wide-brimmed hats, and they would take that brim of that hat and just smack it. Just like, they'd be, what are you doing, soldier? What do you think you're doing, soldier? What are you doing? And that thing would smack you right here or hit you on the bridge of the nose. Oh, my God, it hurt so much. But it was very intimidating. In fact, when I was in basic training a number of years ago, back in 1992, I was RTI. I will not say his name, but he woke us all up at 3 o'clock in the morning, like an hour and a half before we were supposed to wake up. And he had us all get up, and he get into our PT uniforms, and he marched us outside, marched us down the stairs, outside, and then off into the side, and under the side of the squadron, there was like this wooded area over there. And he lined us up. And he walked down the line. This is like the fourth or fifth day of training. He lined us all up, and then he went down the line, and he just just hit us right in the gut. Every single one of us. Only one guy didn't double over. One guy didn't double over, and this guy was built like a freaking brick house, man. He was about 5'4", and he was built like this. And the man did inclined one-arm push-ups, 200 a day, 100 on one arm, 100 on the other arm, every single day at night before lights out. He'd go into the latrine after it had been all cleared out and cleaned and stuff, and he would go to the shower area where there was like this bench right outside the showers, and he would go incline on that. So he was inclined about like this, and he would do 100 push-ups per arm, and that guy was ripped to the max. Compared to everybody else, there was nothing this guy couldn't do. He actually went and he did the testing for pararescue, and he completely did the pararescue training. He did the pararescue testing, and he just wasted all of it. And then he decided not to be pararescue, which I thought was really interesting. But he chose not to do pararescue. He wanted to do his other chosen job, which had to do something with medical. I can't remember exactly what it was. It has been a very long time. But there's a little story to go along with this. But the infantry school has let's see, we're near the end of this. I liked this. There was part of this last 100 yards or first 100 yards thing is it includes a mock battlefield supply mission in which trainees must pull together on the fly and figure out how to most effectively move a load of supplies from one location to another, just like they might actually have to do in an actual combat situation. So it is a really good way to instill that You will be working as a team always, which I totally and 100% support. I think that's really great to instill the not just your battle buddy beside you, but the entire unit pulling together to accomplish tasks is a very good thing. Um, they also have to memorize. They have to memorize all kinds of uh, minute detail stuff that has to do with not just unit cohesion and unit breakdown, but uh, they have to memorize things about key specifics in the infantry and their training units, names, positions of unit leaders, and the like. The unit's history, all the mottos of the unit they're part of. Um, there's also an exercise in which they have to pick out their baggage uh, from where others have moved it, and they have to do it as quickly as possible. You have to get everybody's bag, and you have to set them up and stuff so that everybody has their equipment, and you have to do that quickly. And uh, it showcases the skills that they come in with and allows the drill sergeants to start selecting the leaders within the unit starting on that first day, not just from who's going to hold on to the stress of a shark attack and who's going to crumble from that or who's going to stand firm, but can start taking the leadership roles and assigning leadership roles based on what they view happens during this exercise, which I think is really good. The demonstration is intended to inspire the trainees to stay the course and to complete the last 100 yards of training. You start with that first 100 yards and you complete the last 100 yards. And it shows that what they can achieve through hard work and commitment to the infantry way of life. Um, it Participants are able to see that they will be successful. But all right, so that's about all today. I hope you have a great day and be great to each other, guys. See you tomorrow. Maybe I can hit the stop record. There we go.